All right, guys, Sam back with you here on Friday, September 21st, kind of middle of the day here. And last up, by request from our members, is a look at EOS to the dollar. Now, I've got this is a 3-hour chart on Bitfinex. Now, this is kind of an interesting one because we've got a bit of a conundrum down here that we have to how we count this is going to affect potentially where we're looking for our next pivot. So just to review here. So I'm working from our high up here. What are we, 23 bucks? So again, just trying to keep it simple. Can we identify 5s and 3s? Well, I got a very clear 5 wave here. It's impulsive as well. So I've got a clean 5 coming down. Hard to call that anything other than an A wave, right? Given the move we have here, this would appear to be correcting it. All right, so if we just reviewing here, this up we go and we finish up here at 23. Well, if we're correcting all of that, hard not to lean into that as an A wave. Well, there's my A, B, C for a B. Okay, so far I'm right on track. Well, then I get yet again another perfect 5-wave structure, right? Basics of Elliott. We trend in 5s, we correct in 3s. Right? Can't be any more clear than that. Well, then you say, okay, wait a minute, there's your A, B, C. Well, what happened there? Well, we don't get the turn, right? So that's the middle of the summer. We don't get the turn, and we've got all this additional movement lower here, so we have to rethink the count. So if this is A and B, which seems fairly solid, well, the first you might think, okay, A, B, C, maybe it's a combination. We're going to go A, B, C, X, and we're thinking W, X, Y. Problem with that is that this is just way too shallow for an X wave. Just we're so far out of the probable range that I don't even put it on the chart. I don't even think that's an alternate. So what I think we have happening here is that we have A, B, and this is just the one wave of the C wave here. So we're looking to complete in 5, proposing a C down here. Well, here's where we run into a little conundrum here, and it's just a question of how do we count this? Well, if this is 1, 2, right, as I have been counting it previously, but in prepping for this video here and just kind of giving it a quick look through and trying to incorporate this current price action, it occurs to me that we do absolutely have an alternate here. So let me focus in here. We're going to go. Let's just focus on this section right here. So I can't deny the 5 coming down. So this I feel pretty good about this as at least we have an impulsive wave structure here. So I propose that's a 1 wave. I get again a perfect 3-wave correction. All right, now here's the conundrum. If this is the 2, and we're going to finish in 5, well, we're looking for a motive wave. Now we could go 1, 2, and then we'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 could finish down here. Well, we got a little bit of an issue with that. In that, if we come from the 2, if this is the 1, well, now we've overlapped the 1 wave here. So you think, okay, well, if that's the 2, wait a minute. Now I can't. If it's going to be an impulse, I can't have a diagonal in my 3rd. So you go, a bit of a problem. Well, then it occurs to me that we do have an alternate here. So if that is not the 1, then an alternate would be this. Let me just move this just a little bit here. This may be an alternate that's worth considering. God, that annoys me. All right, hang on. It's always the first grab moves all of it. So if this is the 2, and then we have this as an A, and then we have an expanded B wave into a 2. Well, that would put this as our 1 wave here, right? And now look here, we don't overlap. All right, well, additionally, with that relabeled, here's the 1 wave that would matter. But the point here being that we get prior support kicks in as resistance. So if this is an A wave coming into an A, B, C into a B, getting past this, right? So so the correction is just a classic expanded flat, right? So we'd have this up into the C. So that's proposed possibly now our 2 wave. Well, then we're looking for, if that's the 2, we're looking for an impulsive 3. So this is going to need to kick down 1 more time. Well, let's just check and see how's it look technically. All right, so if I just take the length of my 3rd, Well, you know, pretty good, right? So it's a little deep for a 4 to go beyond the 50, but we don't, you know, in this count, here's the 1 we'd be paying attention to right here. If this is 1, 2, 3, A, B, C into my 4, well, what does that leave for us here? Well, you know, if it's going to stay as an impulsive wave, right? Now we can't allow for a diagonal because we potentially are finishing here. We potentially could have an ending diagonal, but I'm getting ahead of myself. If this is the 2, right, and we've gone 1, 2, well then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, we don't have any this truncation. Maybe seems I wouldn't. It's too soon to go there until we break this 65 or come back all the way, right? If we're going to have a diagonal, we've got to break this pivot here, which now relates to that 1 wave here. So if this is going to go, if we're going to get something like this, so we're going to get an A. You know, looks like this is. If we're going to get, I have to come back to that. If we get something like this, right? So then we would get potentially now. Now let's see here. So this would be 4 coming down in to put in the 5, which completes the 3, right? So that would be 1 here. So let me take this off so you can see it. And this would be potentially here. So then we'd have potentially now with this, well, let's reset here. Let's go back to auto so we can see it. So we potentially have this setting up. So we'd have 1, 2, 3. Damn it, can't get down there. 3 would be down here. 4, 5, something like that, right? So if this is, so I mean, there's a case if that's the 4, this could just be 1, 2. But let's assume we come up here and we get a more complex 4 here, right? And then that would suggest that we come down for the 3, up we go for a 4, and down we go for a 5. So so what's the point of all that? Well, how do you tell the difference, right? How are you going to know? Well, it's much like Bitcoin. You've got to break this pattern of lower highs. So let me get this up here. So can we, let me open it up again. All right, so working from this pivot here. So if we just say, so essentially we have a double top here. So if we just work from that pivot to this low, all right, until we break this 65 here, there's no way for this to be anything other than just setting up for the next leg down. Right, we don't have an algo on board. This is too deep to get an algo on our side here. If you were trying to trade this as a 1, 2, so technically, right, that could be a 2. You could have this could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into an A wave. Means that you'd have to accommodate this finishing down here. So you're gonna have to have a 3, 4, 5 coming down. The other scenario is that this is 4, and all we've done is put in the 1, 2. Right, so this could be 1, looks like A, B, C into a 2, 3, 4, and 5, just placeholders down here still to come. Well, let's think about that. Well, if that's the case, right, and I propose to you until we break that 65, which we know now is very close to this 1 wave, that looks much more to me like all we've done is a 1, 2. Right? Why would we assume otherwise? We've gone right to the golden zone. Right? Perfectly technical. Now, look, we could blow up. This could happen over the weekend. Again, long term, I'm as big a bull as anyone. I'm dying to see something like that, but I can't buy it just off the hopium down here. Like, oh, hey, we didn't get a new low. Okay, well, let's get a new high. Let's get a higher high. Right, at least of some significance here. So thinking about how this could resolve, if this is 1, 2, and we had 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'd have a truncation down here, I just don't see it, right? It's just I don't see how anything other than, well, God, it got down that low, you got to like it there. I don't see how that resolves here, right? Particularly since this stayed technical. So let's think about where that could be going, because we got to pay attention to 0 down here. Here's 0 wicked up. Well, it's very hard to get it right on 0. Hang on, let me get this down. That's pretty close to 0. All right, so we've got plenty of room to work with down here. But if this is 1, 2, we've got 3, 4, and 5 still. There's a lot of down to go. If all that's still coming, this has got to resolve somehow. How are we going to resolve this otherwise? so you'd have to think, you'd have to go 1, 2, and then another 1, 2 into a 100, damn near a 100% retracement on the 2. It's possible, right? It does not overlap, so it's possible that that could be the 2. And then this would be the 1, 2. Shit, that's a struggle to get that to resolve down here, right? So maybe this is the 4. Yeah, you can get 5 in that, but that's low probability that we've got a truncated 5th down here. It looks much more to me like I've got a 1 wave. I've gone A, B, C into a B. Or remember, 2 and a B can go that high as long as we don't overlap this. I mean, it can technically be right there. Look at this 2 wave, right? So we can certainly see something like that again. Right now, into the golden zone would suggest that we know what the algos did, right? We know where they're going. That's what they're targeting. So if this is going to hold as the 2, again, big emphasis word if that's going to hold as the 2, then all of this is still yet to come. But we got to put it in the larger context. If that's the 1, 2, and this is 1, 2, and we're going to get an extension in the 5th, we still are just resolving the 3rd. The 4 and the 5 still to come. Still to come. Let me get that off. So, shit. Here, 1, 2, 3. That potentially could be our 3. 4, 5 completes the 3. 4, all of this has to all go down here. Right, now look how close we're getting to 0. All right, shit, I've got EOS in my long-term bag. I don't want to see that happen, yet I can't get this resolved any other way. All right, if you've got something to show me how that resolves down here, I mean, the only reasonable thing that this is reasonable is the emphasis here, that we would somehow have completed a truncation down there. But even still, right, how are you going to finish that? So this would have to be 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we're not done yet. Then we're still it just doesn't work. I'm sorry, guys. As bullish as I am, I cannot find a way for that to resolve. Now, if this blows up, if we do something like this, all right, we'll figure it out. We'll figure out a way to count it. Maybe something very unusual happened down here. But so is that what you want to trade on? The anticipation that something very unusual happened? Not me. All right, I'll stick with usual. I'll stick with probabilities. What's most probable? Right, what else do we get? That's probably a little more than we need here that have the 2 on. All right, so first things first. All right, we've got this delta. I'll use the higher high, right? What an algo would use. Swing high, swing low, dominant pivot. Right? If we use that, what have we done? 50. Right, we've just hit the 50, so we look here and say, is it here? Well, we know we've got, as long as that pivot holds, 80% probability of getting to the median line. There's our corner pocket. It's a deep corner pocket, but look, that lines up rather nicely. That, could then this be the 4? Now it's getting a little tougher to make that work because the symmetry doesn't play here. So look at the 2. Well, all right, we also have this 2, but look at if in yellow here, if that's the 2, if we get this much action here, I don't think that's likely. Then you kind of would have to suggest that was in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Truncation in the 5th of the 3rd. Low probability, guys. Low probability. So again, just where can we absolutely get bullish? Boy, that's going to take, well, certainly we've got to break this 7.71, but we got a lot of work to do to get through that. Right up here, 11.59. A lot of work still to come to get through all of that. Yeah, sorry, my fellow bulls. I've got plenty of EOS, like it, and have no intention of selling it. But I don't see any reason to be adding just yet. Can't work it out. If I can't work it out, I can't trade it. All right, guys. I'm not saying that you shouldn't. This is me, right? This is if I can't get that resolved down here, there's no reason for me to be a buyer down here. And in my case, it would be adding to already pretty substantial longs in EOS. No reason to do it, right? Until I see some resolution down here or some significant break of where I know I can get an algo on board. Well, I think patience is your friend here. All right, guys, that's all I got today. Just a reminder, give us a follow on Twitter. You want to learn more about this, how we do this, right? One thing I don't want anyone to think is that I'm proposing this is easy. I hope just watching me struggle with this shows you that, you know, there's always uncertainty. We never have certainty. We only have probabilities, right? But if you want to learn how to identify those probability zones, we can help you with that. All right, guys. With that, I'll call it a week, and we'll be back on Monday. Should be interesting what happens over the weekend. So maybe we'll have some resolution out of some of this uncertainty over the weekend. All right, guys. Catch you next week.